Welcome to the Plant Trainers Podcast, where we're helping people improve their quality of life through nutrition and fitness. And now, your hosts, nutrition and wellness coaches, international speakers, Adam and Shoshana Chaim.
Hey, I'm Adam Chaim.
And I'm Shoshana Chaim, and we are
Propelled by Plants. Today we bring to you episode 281, Team Unstoppable, with sponsored athlete Michael DiDonato.
In this episode of the Plant Trainers Podcast, we talk with Michael DiDonato about his professional and athletic life. Michael has the biggest heart. Despite being a husband, dad, and martial artist, he's also dedicated his free time to teaming up with Kyle Brodeur, who was paralyzed in a car accident many years ago. Michael essentially assists Kyle in long-distance running and triathlon races using various tools, including a custom-made wheelchair made by Michael. The story is quite amazing, and the listen will be very heartwarming and inspiring for you. We don't want to give too much away, but if you know anyone who would consider doing a duo sport, please share this with them. And if you want to know some more about Michael's secrets on how he trains and recovers from these races, he shares that too.
Michael is most passionate about helping people in the special needs community through the running chairs that his company, Southbridge Tool and Manufacturing, builds. He also enjoys racing with his friend Kyle. Kyle is physically challenged and wants to experience the thrill of the race through triathlons and road races. They call themselves Team Unstoppable, where Kyle is the heart and soul and Michael is the arms and legs.
The Plant Trainers Podcast is free, and it will always be free, and we are so delighted to bring it to you every single week. But there's costs associated with it. For example, we have hosting fees and our time. How many hours a week do you think you put into this podcast?
I don't know, 3, 5,
So you
6,
edit it,
depends.
you make images to go with it. There's lots of things that you put out there. I'm reaching out to people all the time, making sure that they're committed, making sure that the show notes are ready, making sure we have questions ready. Probably 10 to 15 hours a week or per show that go into creating this podcast for you. So if we were in person, I guess we'd say right now we're holding out our tip jar. And if you look on internet, you could find some really cool little tip jars like tips. They're like hugs without the awkward body contact. Or tips. Tip me, please, so I could send my cat to Buddha school or ninja school. All these cute little things. But Patreon takes that away. Basically, what Patreon is a way for you to leave a little tip saying, hey, thanks for the amazing job you're doing. Help us cover some of those costs that come along with the podcast. And you can help tip us by going to
patreon.com/planttrainers.
And we really do appreciate everyone who has done that before. And there's some perks that go with it. So make sure you check it out.
And now for a moment of gratitude.
I'm grateful for my breaths, for my arms, for my legs, for my walks, for my runs, all the little things.
I'm grateful for this amazing group of boys that I was working with through their volleyball season. We made it to the finals. I saw lots of growth. And the most important thing to me was bringing them together as a team, which is something that we definitely accomplished. And now I'm working with a new team, a bunch of ladies, and we're going to try and, well, we're not going to try because as Yoda says, we're going to...
There is no try.
There's do or do not. So we're going to turn this into an incredible team as well and build strength through team.
Michael DiDonato, thank you so much for joining us on the Plant Trainers Podcast today.
Thanks for having me.
We'd love to know if you have a moment of gratitude to share.
Yeah, I'm just happy that I'm hopefully gonna see 47 next week on Thanksgiving. It'll be my 47th birthday. I'm happy that I have a pretty good healthy family, and just able to enjoy life. That's what I'm grateful for.
I can totally relate to that right now because although this podcast is coming out a little bit after we recorded it, so you've already become 47. I'm actually turning 40 this week also. So when you reach a milestone, it's kind of like, wow, I did that. It's not easy going through every single year of your life. Some years are great. Some years have a lot of sadness or hard parts to it. But just achieving that birthday, it really is a celebration. And I think that everybody needs to take that moment to actually not just celebrate it with gifts and dinners and wine or whatever it is that they're celebrating with, but actually reflect on what you had to do to get here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's been plenty of ups and downs, and as you get older, hopefully you have more ups than downs. And I think I'm fortunate where more positive than that, positives have happened in my life than negatives, and that I'm truly grateful for that.
So it's great that you're 47 and you're still doing these amazing things, and it gives people like us hope that are not 47 yet, but coming closer to it every day, that even though we're getting older, we could still be doing such amazing things with our body. And we're going to talk a little bit about what you're doing because it's pretty outstanding stuff.
You're also creating a lot of positive in other people's lives, specifically Kyle. Do you want to tell us who Kyle is?
Sure. Kyle's a young man. He's 31 years old. I met him in 2010. And Kyle is in a wheelchair. He's a quadriplegic. He was in a terrible car wreck when he was 10 years old. He was hit by a drunk driver head on while he was driving with his family. Killed his dad instantly. Paralyzed Kyle for life. His mom is also disabled. And yeah, he's had a lot of tough times in his life, many, many surgeries. But we met in 2010, like I said. I own a manufacturing company and offered to build him a running chair because he wanted a sport again. He was very active when he was young. So I built him a running chair and we started doing races together, and that's his sport now, road races and triathlons.
So how did you meet him? Did you meet his mom in a bike shop?
Yeah, I did. I met his mom in a bike shop. I am not a runner. I never enjoyed running, but I love the cycling. I enjoy just going out and having fun with my friends, and we just go on these road rides and have fun. But so I was in the bike shop one day and heard his mom talking about her son, and he was really down and out because he's in his wheelchair. And as soon as I heard wheelchair, my ears perked because we had just did a favor for a gentleman by the name of Dick Hoyt. Dick Hoyt is a legend in this physically challenged community. He's done thousands of races with his son, Rick. Boston Marathon is a big one, and Ironman is as well. But we had just done that as a favor, and my ears perked, and I offered to build her a running chair for Kyle, and the rest is history.
Yeah, Dick and Rick have amazing videos out, and for people that haven't seen them, it's such an inspiring story, and I'm sure yours is very similar in some ways. So I'd love to hear more about those races and what you guys do together. You compete in road races, you said, and triathlons. Is there a specialty that you have now with Kyle?
Yeah, we went off pretty strong. We started, 5K, a lot of 5Ks and 10Ks. Like I said, I'm not a runner. I'm kind of big. I'm tall. I'm, over 200 pounds. So running and myself, we don't get along physically. So we started doing shorter races. Then we started doing triathlons. Kyle wanted to do triathlons. So we started that, and we were pretty active. And we started picking races, kind of like, I guess, destination races. Like we did the Disney half marathon, which was awesome. And we did that because he wanted to go to Disney. And so we did that. We just competed in a half Ironman in New Jersey because he wants to be recognized as an Ironman. He wants to do a sanctioned half Ironman. So we do that. And we kind of do local stuff too, a lot of local stuff. We're doing the Gobble Gobble 5K next Sunday before Thanksgiving. So it helps support the Center of Hope, which Kyle goes there during the day and he does activities there, and they take him wherever he wants to go. And they're just an awesome organization, part of the ARC. So we do those kind of things.
So triathlon is not an easy sport, and I've done a couple of Ironman distance and a bunch of shorter ones, so I know what it entails, especially as an individual. And I'm thinking, like, you're not doing it as an individual, you're doing it as a team. And from what I understand, you call yourselves Team Unstoppable, and I'd like to know where that name came from. But how does Kyle do? Does he train at all, or how do you train in preparation with Kyle? How does that work?
So Team Unstoppable, first of all, came up from Kyle. When we started doing races, he wanted a name. And so I said, well, you pick it. And he picked Unstoppable because his whole life since he was 10, he is unstoppable. He's had, like I said, well over 20 surgeries. Recently, a couple of years ago, we had a scare. He had a major infection in the hardware in his spine, so we were worried about that. And he came out of that surgery strong again, so that he's just unstoppable. He is a unstoppable person. As far as the triathlon goes, so it's swim, bike, run, right? And so I put Kyle in a raft. We put him in a raft, lay him down, prop him up, get him comfortable. I tether the raft to me, and I swim with him behind me. Once the swim's over, I pick him up out of the raft, and we put him in his running chair. The running chair that we built for him, it connects to a bicycle, the back of my bicycle. So I pull him behind me in the chair. So we do the bike portion like that. And then we disconnect the bike boom, put the front wheel on, and then we're off and running. So I push him from behind when I run with him. Honestly, as far as training goes, so we do, if it's going to be a longer race, like for this Ironman, we put him in the chair for just to get him used to being in the chair for a long period of time. Shorter races, not so much. He's good to go. Our goal for Kyle is if he's healthy, he can get through it. We've had to, cancel some races because, he's catching a cold. He's very susceptible to things. So we're very careful. His safety is number one for us. As far as training goes, for this Ironman, I didn't swim at all. I just swim. I don't train for the swim. I'll do some cycling. I don't do a lot of running because I just tend to get injured. So what I do is I do a lot of martial arts and heavy bag work, a lot of rounds on my feet, hands and feet, kicking and punching. And we can talk about that later, but primarily that's what I do for my training.
So you don't even train traditionally for an Ironman or any triathlons, but you're pulling so much extra weight. Like it's hard enough to run that distance after you've biked and swam. Never mind doing it while you're actually pushing, because people might think, oh, but you could lean on it, but you've actually got to push, and not every trail is, or not every road is flat, right? So you're going uphill,
Correct.
You're going downhill. There's a lot more going on.
You can't just let him go down the hill by himself.
Or jump in yourself and just take the ride.
Yeah.
Right. No. So that you're right. Uphill is never easy. From the building of the chair's perspective, we're always trying to make the chair better, lighter, faster. So, but pushing anything uphill, anything that rolls is difficult. And, on the downhill is difficult as well, because you don't want to have to keep pulling on the chair to hold it back. So we came up with a disc brake design that you can actually set the brake really quick, and it'll drag. It'll be like a drag brake. So for me, I almost like push into the chair going downhill because I set the brake somewhat high. So now I kind of don't break stride, and I don't waste a lot of energy trying to hold the chair back. And once we finish the downhill, I just disengage the brake and we're off again. So there's little things that definitely help. I could use all the help that I can get. So we try to do that in the design aspect of the chair.
So what's the longest distance you've done so far?
So running wise, we've done half marathon for the run. This Ironman 70.3, I tell you, we didn't make the cutoff time for the bike. I stopped way too much. It was torrential downpouring, so I felt so bad for him. We had a tarp on him, wrapped around, to try and keep him as dry as possible. It kept flipping up into his face, and he was getting puddles. So I'd stop, and I'd empty him out from the water, bail him out, and then tuck it back in, and off we went again. And when you're an Ironman, you just can't stop that much. So, but we're scheduled for another one in June 9th in Maryland, the Eagleman Half Ironman in Maryland. They accepted us. They allow one duo athlete per Ironman, and we were fortunate enough to be able to get in. So we're excited about that.
I guess you got to get in early.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
So are there lots of other people doing this?
There are. There's many people doing this. There are groups throughout, well, the world now, but especially in the U.S. And in Canada as well. There's Team Hoyt Canada. They're wonderful people there, and we built a couple chairs for them. There's Team Hoyt's chapters throughout the United States, and there are a bunch of other big groups. One off the top of my head they're just making a huge impact with inclusive athletics is a group called Ainsley's Angels. The president of Ainsley's Angels is a very good friend of mine, and they're just accomplishing so many leaps and bounds, including a lot of kids in races that normally they wouldn't be able to participate in, but they are.
What are some of the benefits that you're seeing for these children and these children's families by you building these chairs and also people just taking them through the races?
Oh my goodness. Well, it's a way of life for them now. Just being in a wheelchair all day, being indoors, you really can't push. I mean, you can go for a short walk with a wheelchair, I suppose, but when you build a chair that's comfortable, that can roll and is able to do a road race and looks really cool. What's surprising is and this came from Kyle. When we built this first chair, we made this thing looking pretty slick, and he described it was like his Ferrari. So he's getting out of his, day to day, like a Ford Focus or something, and you're getting into your Ferrari,
your weekend
just
car.
Rolling. Exactly. Yeah. And that just brightens their spirits in itself. But for the families, for mom and dad, I tell you, it just being able to say, you know what, we have a race on Sunday, we have a race on Saturday. Boy, talk about something to look forward to when maybe, the only thing you had going for you is going to the doctor or, maybe just going out for a small stroll or something. A race is very exciting. Adam, when you're in that race, man, it's just, boy, it's an adrenaline rush, and it's the same for anybody, whether you're in a wheelchair or not.
So, yeah, I do know what you're talking about, but I also have this question for you, and I don't know how you want to answer it, but it's very simple. Why? We're taking a break from this episode to talk about probiotics. We've talked about prebiotics and probiotics before on various episodes with amazing guests, and we talked about how important it is to feed your good gut bacteria and help it grow. If we simplified things, there are two categories of bacteria in the gut, different types of bad bacteria that keeps your body from running as smoothly as it should, and different types of good bacteria. A good gut is a happy gut, is a happy brain, is a happy body. Sometimes we need to help our good bacteria grow.
Recently, and tell me if this is TMI, I had parasites. So as you can imagine, I spent most of the summer quite uncomfortable. I tried 3 probiotics that were supposed to be the best of the best, but they didn't help. They each had very large doses of only one strand. But our gut needs many different good bacteria to grow. In September, I came across a full-spectrum probiotic called Biome that has 16 different strands of probiotics chosen for their positive effects on the digestive system and throughout the body. It also had 3 prebiotics, which makes for an environment that healthy, friendly flora can thrive, and phytonutrients like slippery elm that's been used for thousands of years to support the digestive system. Many people have unbalanced microbiomes and don't even know it. This can cause health concerns that seem unrelated. Well, I kid you not, within 48 hours of trying Biome, I was a lot more comfortable in too many ways to talk about right here.
We have a link to the information about Biome and its amazing qualities in the show notes and at planttrainers.com/shop. Please check it out there and click on the link to book a call with Shoshana so that she can make sure that it's the right product for you and help you get your hands on some. And now back to the show. Like, why are you doing this for Kyle? You met him just like that out of nowhere, and you're doing these amazing things to help him accomplish these goals, but it takes a special person to want to do that. So why are you doing this?
Well, that's a good question.
Do you want some time to think about that? Because I want to share a story.
Sure. Yeah, for
So
sure.
when I first met you, Mike, I saw you on a panel. You're a sponsored athlete by ASEA, and that's a product that I use for myself and with a lot of my clients. And I was watching you on a panel, and I was sitting next to this amazing woman, and we were chatting and we were talking. And every time you spoke, I saw her face light up, and I'm like, "Do you know this man?" And she's like, "Yeah, that's my son." So we got to talking, and as you spoke, and I know that people can feel that here, and as you're about to answer the question, they'll feel it even more. As you spoke, I felt your huge heart. I felt your warmness. You know, you have your own family, and you're dedicating so much time traveling with Kyle, and it's hard work, and you need to be trained for it, and you need to be up to date with it. And I mean, your mom just did such a good job with you. Plus, you're probably just born with this amazing heart. And I just said to her, how do I make sure that my children get just a little piece of compassion that your son has? You just have so much compassion and so much heart inside you. And she just said, you know what? Just teach them how to be. Just teach them how to be. Teach them the right from wrong. You know, if you find something that's not yours, it doesn't mean that you could keep it. You bring it to the teacher or the police station. And then she told me a story that you found a dollar bill. And she said, that's okay, you can keep it. And you're like, no, Mom, we need to go to the police station. We need to return this $1 bill because it belongs to someone. You know, what Adam doesn't know is that, like, this is who you are. But I do want to hear your personal reasons for why.
Yeah, definitely the way I was brought up. I mean, my parents both, my mom came from Greece, my father came from Italy, and they've always believed in, helping people. If you're able to, then help as many people as you can. But I mean, I've gone through my ups and downs, and a few years ago, it was strange. I started with a mission statement, and I think I mentioned this at the convention that you saw me at. My mission statement is, my great aim is to love others without others loving me in return. And I live by that daily. I don't necessarily think about it every day, but it's so, I've just made that decision to live like that. And I don't know, it comes out of me daily. The why for Kyle though, I heard his mom, and heard her talking in that bike shop, and I've got it made. I can get out and I'm relatively healthy. I've got it made, and I heard her talking about her son, and just moved me. So, and I tell you that the day I don't like to run, I'm not a fan of doing these races. What I am a fan of is his smile. I'm a fan of his enthusiasm. I'm a fan of him having something to look forward to. We made a bucket list. He made a bucket list because like I said, a couple of years ago, we were pretty scared. He had a major surgery that he was going into, and the odds of him getting through this were very slim. So we made a bucket list, and a lot of this bucket list is doing races. So a lot of destination races, and hey, if I can help him reach that, well, then I'm happy.
I just want to take a moment and let that sink in for everybody because it's beautiful, and I think that everybody has a little piece of them in that, and hopefully somebody will be inspired. If one person listening today as an athlete is inspired to go out and help somebody, the way that you've helped Kyle, I think that's absolutely amazing. What I'm coming back to is there must be cost involved in this, right? Like we know as athletes that yes, you could just buy a pair of running shoes. That's, if you're going to get a good pair, they're going to be expensive, and go out and run. But once you get into these races, especially triathlon, there's a lot of equipment, training time, travel time. So all of these other families who are taking part in this, I'm assuming they have crazy medical bills. So how is it getting funded?
So, yeah, no, that's the tough part. So these groups like the Team Hoyt organizations, we have Team Hoyt New England, for example, here, and they'll do like a fundraising page for a family, or if somebody's interested and they call me, let's say, and they say, look, we want a chair, money's tight. So from our end, from a business, there's several ways. We do we've started offering zero interest financing for them. So it's just a small monthly fee, as they pay the chair off. There's also, like I said, these groups that, Team Hoyts and Ainsley's Angels and that kind of thing. And if there's a family interested, they create a fundraising page, and family and friends can help donate to the page. The other thing that we do that we came up with to help offset some of the cost is we create these wheel covers for the chairs and we can make them look pretty cool. They pop nicely. So, we encourage folks, go to your local business or car dealership or whatever, and we give them some of the information about what we do, what we build. And they could literally have this like rolling advertisement going down the street.
Sponsorship.
And sponsorship. So, and that's very appealing to many, many businesses, which we do a lot of that as well. So, I tell you, it can be challenging, but we're always trying to help and find a way, to help somebody get a chair.
What about an athlete who's listening, who's interested in getting involved with something like this or helping someone like Kyle? Do they go to these same places, to the Team Hoyt or Ainsley's Angels, or is there somewhere else they go to figure that out?
Right. So, they could look up Ainsley'sAngels.org or Team Hoyt chapter. You can Google Team Hoyt chapters in different states. And so what's interesting is we talked about how it affects families, right? So the kids in the chair or adults in the chair, they show up to a race, and a lot of these groups have trailers, either joggers that will accommodate average size adult, our running chairs, of course. And they roll up with these trailers, and they have, just runners, athletes that are volunteering their arms and their legs at these events. And mom and dad, because a lot of times, parents aren't runners, they're not athletes, but there are great people out there that are volunteering their arms and their legs and their hearts for these people. And you would reach out, Google Ainsley's Angels or Google Team Hoyt chapters. And they're pretty much in every state for the most part. They're everywhere.
Cool.
I guess that people can also reach out to
me.
Organize to you.
Yeah.
To you.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
Yeah. And then also way back when, episode 49 of the Plant Trainers podcast, we had the Canadian CEO of Make-A-Wish Canada on as well. So I guess reaching out to organizations like Make-A-Wish Canada to see if they have anybody who would be interested in that as well could be an option too.
Yeah, absolutely. And whoever's listening, don't hesitate to reach out to me, Michael@runningchairs.com. I do a lot of my day consists of that, just connecting people.
So what got you into the steel business in the first place, or the building business? What can you tell us a little bit about the original part of your business?
Sure. So my father and my uncle came here when they were young from Italy. They went to trade school and in the machine shop trade, and they started a business in their garage, a small machine shop, a couple of machines, doing some small work for local companies, and it just grew. And now it's, we employ about 60 people at our shop, and we do, we'll do commercial work for, let's say, right now we're doing an aluminum ladder that will scale up a massive water tower. So we do things like that, big stuff. And so they've been doing that. And then just the chance meeting with Dick Hoyt, and in 2009, and it turned into a whole nother product division of the shop. Very small still,
right.
But I think we're making a big impact.
I think that's the important part. So we're going to link to, the Hoyt story in the show notes, as well as some of the other organizations that you've been talking about, to make that easy so people could find it at planttrainers.com when they go to this podcast in the show notes. So this is really hard on your body, right? You say you're doing martial arts, your work is physical at work, and then you're doing these races with Kyle. What keeps you in good shape? You mentioned that you get injuries. What keeps those injuries at bay? What are you doing to be this human Superman?
That I would not say that. I will
You
not agree
wouldn't,
with you
but
on
other
that.
people
No.
could. Yeah.
So yeah, as far as like supplements go, I mean, first of all, I drink a lot of water. I mean, water is critical. If you're not drinking a gallon a day, for me anyway, it throughout the day, I'm always sipping on water. I do take that supplement ASEA, which is wonderful for me. It works for me. I also take like just a small protein shake here and there. I don't eat a lot. That's the thing I realized. Like, I don't know. I came to this conclusion just trying different things over the years that even after hard training, I usually train early in the morning. Like, so I don't eat. I just drink water before, but I'll have like a small, like convenient shake that you find, anywhere in a convenience store with some protein in it. And then I won't eat for pretty much the rest of the day until like 3:30 to 5 o'clock, and just small, nothing big. My body's able to, it feels more efficient that way, if that makes sense. I don't know, but yeah, and again, it's the way I train too. So I came to this realization that at 47 years old, I'm not going to be this. I don't think I'm going to build any great amount of more of muscle that's going to give me more power, give me more strength. I think I'm more in a maintenance level now. I can definitely burn more fat. So just my mindset of let me not so much like building more strength. I don't know if this is going to make sense, but it's more of how can I maintain, how can I feel better each day, and just and where I realize is I got to listen to my body. I usually have a set regimen in my mind, but usually, the aches and pains sometimes dictate whether I stick with the exact protocol that I have for the week. So a lot of times I just got to back off a little bit.
Nutrition and fitness is so individualized, and
Yeah.
it takes a long time for people to actually figure out what works for them. And if this works for you, not eating before your workout, and you feel good after your workout, and you're drinking a ton of water, and you're using supplements like ASEA, and you don't eat a lot of food, that could just be the way your body functions at its highest efficiency, and that's what works for you. And other people need to figure out what works for them, and it takes a lot of people a lot of time to be able to do that.
Yes. And, I came to this realization, and I'm sure, a lot of people would agree, is that, listen, there's even the food industry, you look, there's so many cooking shows, there's so much food, like advertisement being thrown at you. And hey, they're a business, they want to make money. So, and you hear a lot of these reports of this is good for you. And then the next day it's not good for you. And sometimes you just got to shut that off and just say, okay, what makes me feel bad and what makes me feel good? And just kind of figure it out. Take the time to go inside and figure it out. Go inside yourself and learn yourself instead of being manipulated. And I was a victim, not a victim for this, but I would fall into that, like, oh my God, this is the latest and the greatest in this. And, I've wasted a lot of money on, And
I see that with a lot of my personal clients that I coach, either, for lifestyle or for nutrition. And they say, should I be taking this, or should I be eating this? And I'll say, well, what makes you think you need to? Well, I saw it on the news, or I saw, the news told me to, or a friend told me to. But does a friend know how you feel? Has a friend looked into your body? Does your friend or does the news have all the information? And it comes down to, yes, I coach people to eat more plant-based or 100% plant-based, but that's going to look completely different for every single person. So it really does come down to, how do you feel your best, and are you looking your best, and are your blood tests coming back the best? Is everything jiving together? I'm interested to hear how ASEA is working for you.
Well, I tell you, So I drink the product, but
I'm going to stop for 1 minute. Sorry. What I also want to say is a lot of people are going to say, what is ASEA? ASEA is essentially a redox molecule supplement. In our body, we have redox molecules. They're native to the body. They're made up of salt and water, just like in our cells. We have little oceans made up of salt and water as well. And when the cells are damaged or in distress, they send out signals for the redox molecules to come and help build them back up again, detox bad cells, regrow cells, duplicate cells. And basically they found a way to, and some people who might have some bio background or doctors might say it's impossible to have redox molecules stable outside the body, but they've actually done that and made it into a supplement. So when we're talking about ASEA, we're essentially talking about a redox molecule supplement that is proprietary to this specific company. So that's the background on it. Okay, so go ahead.
So since I've been taking ASEA since summer of 2016. So what I've noticed is my recovery is fantastic. I've been training for a very long time. I've been training since junior high school, and it really started pushing it in my freshman year of high school. And so again, 47 years old, I know how I feel after trying this or that. And the ASEA has been my constant now for the last couple of years. So my recovery tremendous help with my recovery. It's absolutely fantastic. And also they have it's the Renew 28, the gel that you put on, and I'll rub that in. And I just feel overall my health is much better. Interesting. You said blood work. I just had my blood work done, and the doctor said, well, you're in you have a 2% risk of any cardiac issues. And I said, well, that's a good thing. I like that, Yeah. So, I just overall wellness, and I can push, being in the martial arts for many years, now, when I do my training, I can go much longer now. So for I'm going to try 47. My birthday's on Thanksgiving, so I'm going for 47 1-minute rounds for my 47th birthday. So we'll see how that goes on the heavy bag, kicking and punching. So, yeah, exactly.
Amazing. If anybody's interested in learning how ASEA might be able to help them from an athletic point of view, from a health point of view, then please email us at info@planttrainers.com and I can get you some more information. So in terms of reaching out to you for if they know somebody who needs a chair, or if they're looking to get into working with either an adult or child who wants to be part of these races, then they know exactly where to go as well. We want to thank you so, so much for spending time with us here today, enlightening us on what you do and how other people are doing this as well across, I'm going to say the world. I'm sure North America, but for sure the world. And let's see the sport of, what did you call it? Duo
athletes, or assisted running.
Let's see assisted running and duo athletes growing, because it's bringing so much joy, not just to the second athlete, but to their families as well, kind of making things, I don't want to say normal again for a day, but just being like everybody else for once, right?
It's an opportunity to be involved in a sport. Some people in wheelchairs, they may not want to run a race. Okay. But they're inclusive activities. I mean, there's basketball, there's hockey, there's skiing. There's so many avenues and options now for folks that may not be able to do it on their two legs, So, and it's all over the world. I must say this. I have an international sales rep, Anna, who's wonderful. She actually lives out in Sweden now, and she covers pretty much the world for us, and is doing great work. We've sent some to. We've done 6 chairs in Dubai now because of Anna being our contact, and Australia, just amazing. Canada. So so we're all over the world.
Mike, what you're doing is so inspirational, and I'm sure that our listeners are going to be very inspired to go and find someone they could help, maybe not exactly the way you are, but something similar in their own way that works for them in their own lives. And I just want to say thank you for being an inspiration to all of us. And all those links and ways of contact we're going to put in our show notes at planttrainers.com so people could get in touch with you and get more information and learn more.
Great. Thank you so much. This was fantastic.
Thank you so much for listening to this edition of the Plant Trainers Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or any other podcast listening platforms. We appreciate the feedback we receive from you. Every time we get a 5-star rating or review on iTunes from one of our fans, it ensures other people will find us too. Thanks to our patrons. To become a patron, visit www.patreon.com/planttrainers. Even supporting us with $1 really makes a difference. Connect and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Plant Trainers. Like Plant Trainers on Facebook, join our newsletter, and check out our website at www.planttrainers.com for awesome plant-based recipes and a list of our services. Email your questions to info@planttrainers.com so we can answer them on our upcoming Facebook Lives. We hope we've inspired you today. Join us again next time, and have a healthy day.